14 years, 3 months, 11 days, a lifetime. They say time is relative. What a lie. Time is gravitational. It bends under the weight pressing down on you. For them, 14 years fit into a new car model, a bigger house, summer vacations, and a forgotten newspaper clipping. For me, every second was etched into the cold of the concrete walls I clawed at. Every minute was the echo of a guard's boots in the corridor. Every hour was the maddening monotony of memorizing the cracks in the same ceiling. I look at this face sometimes, this reflection in the glass. This is not my face. This is a sculpture, a work of art, shaped by their hammers, their chisels. Every line by my eyes is a monument to a sleepless night under the flickering fluorescent light of an interrogation room. The gray in my hair is the crystallized moment when the last shred of hope was ripped out of me. This look in my eyes, this frost, this is what you see when a man's soul reaches its freezing point. But they couldn't see what was beneath the ice. They could never see the inferno I stoked every day, the furnace of vengeance I was building. It was all so stupidly simple, wasn't it? A dream that started in a garage. 3 friends, me, Leo, and Julian, and Clara. My son. Everything else was in her orbit. Nexus. That's what we called it. An algorithm that would rewrite the rules of the financial world. Those lines of code were my children. I birthed every loop, every string, every exception. As my fingers danced across the keyboard, I thought I was weaving the future. Leo, the man I called my brother, was the brains of the operation. Julian, the predator who could smell money from a mile away, charmed the investors. And Clara, she was just there. And her presence was enough to turn the damp air of that garage into a spring morning. Then came the day, signing day, the day our lives would change. Millions of dollars in our first seed round. That day was supposed to be the beginning of everything. And it was. Just not the beginning I had dreamed of. I was going to ask Clara to marry me that morning. The ring was in the pocket of my worn-out jeans, waiting. The door splintered open as I was sipping my coffee. I couldn't even process it. The screaming men in black masks and tactical gear. Economic terrorism, compromising national security, sabotage. The words were like bullets. They dragged me out like a sack of garbage. On the steel table of the interrogation room, they threw a file in front of me. Inside the heart of the Nexus code, a Trojan horse, a virus that could bring down the nation's entire banking system with a single command. And the proof, an email signed with my unique cryptographic key, confessing my treason, an email I had never seen, my fingers had never touched. The trial was a work of theater. I was the star, but others had written the script. Julian took the stand, with crocodile tears in his eyes. He talked about how I had become paranoid, how I harbored a deep animosity towards the system. He spoke of my plans to take the investors' money and flee the country. He was lying. Then came Leo, my brother, holding Clara's hand tightly. He spoke of my violent tendencies. He told the court he had to save Clara from me. I understood then. My place, that void, had already been filled. And D.A. Wallace, that pathetic man whose only dream since law school was to see his name in the headlines. He knew this case was his rocket to the top. The inconsistencies in the evidence, the high probability that the digital signature was forged. He swept it all under the rug, because the story was too good. The garage-grown genius who turned into a monster to sell out his country. The media devoured it, and I was moved into my new home for the next 14 years. In that hole, you lose everything, along with time. First, your name. They call you by a number. Then, your memories. Your mind becomes an enemy, constantly reminding you of what you've lost. Then, you lose hope. Hope is an infection. It eats you from the inside and leaves you with an even greater disappointment each time. When hope dies, a man becomes free because he has nothing left to lose. When my hope died, vengeance was born. I met Silas in there, a victim of a corporate conspiracy, just like me. But he was smarter. In those 4 walls, He taught me lessons no university in the world could offer. He taught me to read people, not concrete and iron. Not everyone has a price, Ethan, he'd say, but everyone has a fracture point, a weakness, a fear, a greed. If you can't find their price, you find their fracture and you shatter it. He taught me to play chess, but we used the names of people instead of pawns. And he told me the legend, the ghost of Satoshi, a programmer who had mined tens of thousands of Bitcoin in the early days and then vanished. That fortune lay dormant on a single hard drive behind a series of impossible riddles. Silas had spent his years solving those riddles, and he had succeeded. He gave me the key, scrawled on a piece of napkin with a trembling hand. I will rot behind these bars, he said, but you, if you ever get out of here, become the devil in this world they think is only run by their gods. The riot that broke out that night was a gift from heaven. As I walked through the flames and chaos, I left the skin of number 1742 behind in the ashes. When I got out, I was no one, a ghost, but I held the key to buy the world. When I found that hard drive, deep in a cellar, gathering dust next to vintage wines, and I plugged it into a laptop, when I typed in that final password and that string of digits appeared on the screen, in that moment, all the pain, all the hatred of 14 years, transformed into an indescribable power. I was no longer a pawn. I owned the board. One became a Z Atlas Zenith, a whisper in the financial world, a ghost with no past and a fortune of unknown origin. My first hunt was Julian. Nexus Holdings was a titan, but every titan has an Achilles heel. Julian's was his pride. First, I stole his engineers. One by one, I headhunted his geniuses with bigger promises, bigger dreams. While he was busy polishing the walls of his castle, I was emptying the treasury inside. Then, I funded his biggest rival, with my money, with a project that leapfrogged his technology by 5 years. The final blow was simple. I sent an anonymous email to the most ruthless investors on Wall Street, detailing every accounting fraud, every dirty little secret in his company's financials. Within a week, his giant empire collapsed under its own weight like a house of cards. I didn't bankrupt him. I left him at the head of the wreckage he created, unable to even afford the garage where we once began. Then it was Leo's turn. My brother, now married to Clara, a businessman of the year, a philanthropic icon. But I knew his dark side, his most trusted assistant. That quiet girl he had mistreated for years. She had been keeping a diary, a little encouragement, the right listening ear, and all of Leo's dirty laundry, his bribery schemes, his secret partnerships, was laid out before me. At his foundation's glamorous charity ball, I came on stage as a surprise donor, and my donation was a high-definition projection of his own treachery, audio recordings of his bribe negotiations, evidence of his affairs, proof of how he betrayed Clara. The deathly silence in that hall, the disgust in the eyes of hundreds of people, the way Clara's face cracked like fine porcelain. That was my moment of victory. And D.A. Wallace, he was last. Justice wasn't his sword. It was his shield, an armor to hide his own crimes. I melted that armor and poured the hot metal on his soul. I found every case he had buried, every innocent man he had convicted for a price, for a favor, every single one. Tonight, half an hour ago, all of those files, along with the real evidence from my own case, were simultaneously uploaded to the servers of the world's largest news agencies. When he wakes up tomorrow morning, the justice system he worships will be his own guillotine. It's over. All the pieces are off the board. Checkmate. I waited for this moment for years. To savor this victory, this satisfaction. But all I taste is ash and rust. I walked past a bakery today. The smell of fresh bread. I had forgotten it. I heard a child's laughter and I flinched. They stole these sounds, these feelings, from me too. I took their lives, yes, but what did I win in return? Can I get back the me I lost? Not just the 14 years. I started this journey to get Ethan back, but what's left of him now? Is this silhouette in the glass that hopeful, naive, loving young man? Or is it just a monster created by 14 years of hatred and a bottomless bank account. The real weight wasn't the world on Atlas's shoulders. It's the weight of a soul buried under the rubble, and I will carry this weight alone for the rest of my life.